Yeah, so when do you know about my past?
I think I was 13 years old when I found out. So my cousin actually mentioned to me that like she has a secret about my mom. So to find out that like, oh, my mom broke the law before, I think it was quite a shock to my system lah.
When she was a teenager, Hannah went in and out of prison due to her drug addiction. When she was 18 years old, she was incarcerated when she was 5 months pregnant and gave birth to a son in prison. On this episode of Kenna's Mare, she shares how she overcame her drug addiction and why it was so difficult to overcome.
How old were you when you first took drugs? The first time I took drugs, I was around 13 years old. It was either in a HDB void deck or in a chalet. Yeah, at that point of time, because I didn't have much money, so I went the cheapest way, that was to glue sniff. So I tried many drugs. Yeah, I mixed many drugs in a night, and I was addicted to ketamine. I could take up to 3 grams of it a day. So if I hang out with friends who do the same, then it's normal that everywhere we go, we would visit the mall's toilet and we would be in it for very long. It's like every half an hour we'll be in the toilet. Yeah, the longest that I did not touch it was when I'm sleeping. Yeah. Of course, at that point of time, I wouldn't know it was a form of escape or a way of coping. So my parents got divorced, and of course, my mom left. I felt abandoned. Yeah, I felt that no one loved me, no one cared for my feelings. I believe because I don't have friends who would understand me, so I went online to chat with people, and I would enter into chat rooms with gang logos, yeah, so that I can rebel. I can mix with people who have the same background as me and probably understand what I was going through. I started drinking, smoking, then I started experimenting with drugs. Weren't you afraid of getting addicted? I never thought of that. I remember that I couldn't walk straight for a very long time. Yeah, because of the gastric and then the back. Yeah, so I was like bending forward all the time. Some of my friends, they have very severe gastric issues and they're really in pain. But we just believe that we cannot visit the hospital because we will get caught. Yeah, so we just tolerate the pain. I believe we were all in denial at that point, and all of us did not know that we were very addicted. And of course, working in a nightclub, that kind of behavior was not very serious. Nobody would bother to correct us. But around 17, yeah, I was arrested and I went to jail for my crime. After I came out from prison the first time, yeah, I made many promises to myself. Yeah, I tried, to lead a normal life. I think I was too used to my old lifestyle. I went back to the club to work because I had a lot of bills to pay, and that was the place where I could find friendship. Yeah, I was in prison very soon after my first release, so I was around 18 years old. Yeah, I was 5 months pregnant when I entered prison. What was the most difficult thing about being pregnant in prison? Back then in prison, we were treated like any other prisoner. Yeah, we had no special treatment. The most difficult was every time I needed to go for the doctor appointment, I have to sit on the floor to wait for the vehicle to send me there for hours. Yeah, without moving. I often felt very hungry. I felt that my body shivering because of hunger, because the intervals for meal is very, very long. So the day of labor, I was sent to the hospital. I was in the delivery ward. I had leg cuffs, and I had 2 prison wardens with me to keep a watch out. Yeah, it was lonely. So of course, this is my first time giving birth, and yeah, it was quite scary, quite painful. Don't know what to expect. Yeah, so the first time when I held my child, it was a very loving, very intimate kind of feeling. Since I was pregnant, I couldn't wait to see him. Yeah, so it was really amazing. I brought him back to prison, and he was with me for 1 month in the prison cell. It was not a good environment, and with all that, his skin was reacting badly. Yeah, he started to have rashes, and it became raw wounds. I brought him to the prison doctor, and they will only give some cream, but it didn't help. Yeah, so I sent the baby out to my sister. Going back to the environment without the baby was just very painful. Every day I was just wondering, how is he? Until the day I saw him at my visit, then I felt a sense of relief because he looked much better. So every visit that he came to visit me, so I visit twice a month, he's just growing all the time. When you're a first-time mom, yeah, there will be a lot of things that you will want to do with your child. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of sadness and emptiness when I think about it. Yeah, especially, when it's my first child. Didn't you feel sorry towards your son? At which point? Every point. So upon my release, I was very responsible. But later on, as I, went back to the same environment out of fear of lack, I soon went back to the vicious cycle. He has never seen me, taking drugs. Yeah, but he experienced the effects through my behavior. So I would smoke at home. Actually, the first time when he was mimicking, the smoking action, yeah, the very first thought was, he looked cute. But when I think deeper, I was trying to tell myself, why would I even allow my son to do that? One of the motivating factor was definitely my son. And of course, sometimes I feel that there is this deadline to hit, because as he grows up, he will definitely be aware and have the knowledge of what I was doing, and it's wrong, and he'll probably hate me. My health was also spiraling downwards. I was actually almost at my wit's end. Yeah, so I knew that if I don't change, I'll probably just die as a drug addict. So there was this incident where the drug went out of stock for a month. Yeah, and I was desperately trying to find it in Singapore, overseas, but there was really no drugs available. Yeah, so I was expecting to have some withdrawal symptoms, but it didn't come. I still can't believe that I did not have any. And after a month, when the drugs came back, yeah, I was offered, but I do not need it. I sometimes feel that if I never have, that opportunity, that miracle, I don't know what will happen to me. It's really scary to think about it. Yeah, the life is, it was really bad. Yeah.
So when did your son find out about your past?
For that, I will ask him to answer that question.
Hi, my name is Lovin. I'm 21 this year.
Yeah, so when do you know about my past?
I think I was 13 years old when I found out. So My cousin actually mentioned to me that like she has a secret about my mom, and then she told me like, oh, your mom sat in jail before because of drugs, and then I was quite shocked. Yeah. I think we were seated by the sofa watching TV. Yeah, and then like it was like at the back of my head, so I just decided to like drop the bomb straight away, just ask her like, have you been to jail?
I was very unprepared. Yeah, I knew this day would come, but I didn't expect it to be so soon.
I think when I first found out, I was more like in doubt because my mom has been very strict with me since I was a kid. So to find out that like, oh, my mom broke the law before, I think it was quite a shock to my system lah. Yeah.
How long would you say it took you to finally come to terms with it?
I think
Almost immediately.
yeah, almost immediately because we actually shared a conversation also. Like after a while, it just became like a very cool fact. Like oh, like when I have like orientation, oh, I used to be a prison baby. Then they're like, ah, what? That's yeah. But I think that's how I can take it now, like lighter. Yeah, because my mom, came a long way. Because looking from where she came out from and to the point where she was and to the point that she's now, she also like serve and volunteer for the woman in the halfway house. I have seen her halfway house events, the execution and everything is really well. So I'm a proud son.
Do you think I'm a good mother?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my mom has been very good to me. She's been working multiple part-time jobs and trying to sustain like my school fees, and then also trying to get my grandma to look after me, and she's always worrying for me since young. As a single parent, I think raising a kid is definitely not easy.
I used to be very strict. Yeah, no relationships until a certain age. Of course, there are curfews, restrictions at home. I was strict out of fear. Yeah, I was strict to compensate. Yeah, so he always say that he is the first child. What's that term you like to use?
First child syndrome.
No.
Hamster.
The hamster child, like where we, do all the trial and error. But now he's an adult, I basically don't bother. Yeah, but I do give him advice, and I try to talk to him in a way that he's no longer a kid, but he can make good choices. Yeah. I would tell my younger self, be wise, not to seek validation. All that I went through started from all the emotions, the hurt. I used to feel that I'm, behind people, this fear of losing out. But I think today I'm definitely very happy. I definitely lead a very purposeful life, also helping, people who are still struggling with addiction.
From a son point of view, I think that overcoming addiction is definitely not easy, and overcoming and achieving what she can do today, I think it's very powerful. Yeah, so I'm very proud of her and her achievements.